stars be with you.
Hello everybody, and welcome to Energetic Principles Report on the new moon in Gemini, which will be going exact on May 25th at 12:44 p.m. Pacific time. So what does the new moon in Gemini bring to us? Well, it brings to us a new perspective, which we all can be grateful for, because new perspectives is what carries us to further in our lives, when we're able to understand things and look at things in a different way. So that new moon in Gemini will be very strong during the full day of May 25th, and actually the 8 hours that are after it hits exact are the perfect time to kind of still ourselves and go in and get really in line with our intentions and what it is we want to manifest during this next 29-day cycle. Because new moons are the perfect time for manifestation. That's where we're getting in touch with the intentions that we have, and putting those little seedlings out into the universe, so that hopefully they will grow with this new moon. Lack of light, rather, which they will grow more with the light as we get to the full. So what else can we expect from this new moon in Gemini? Well, we can expect our curiosity to be piqued, where we're going to be interested in avenues that we might not have been interested in before. So if you get intrigued in some subject matter and want to find out more, this is the perfect time to go down that road, because curiosity piqued is what takes us to places we've never been before, and allows our mind to travel, which in turn leads to a new perspective. So what else can this new moon in Gemini bring to us? Well, a new moon in Gemini could actually bring some type of communication that comes to light, to where new information allows us to open up different avenues in our life, depending on where that new moon is hitting in your chart. The mind will be rejuvenated in a sense, and it's just an excellent time to start studying and learning some new skills, and just opening the mind to new things, because this is a perfect time for us to grow intellectually. Also, we might be called upon to have a little more emotional flexibility, because Gemini is a mutable sign that its energy kind of goes back and forth, and kind of ping pongs about. And the beauty of that is it allows it to be very flexible. So just know that you might have to develop a little emotional flexibility with how the mind works at this time. Another part of Gemini is about sharing and communicating with others. It's how we communicate and how we get ourselves out there and speak our minds to others, because Gemini is all about its intense processing, its perception at its finest. It just comes in, and then where does it go? They have to share it. They share it with other people. So Gemini in this cycle, by sharing our thoughts with others, we're probably going to get in tune with ourselves more. So now's the time to share and get out there with some friends. Okay, so what aspects are we going to have during this new moon cycle? What are the other planets saying, and how is it talking to the chart of the moment? Well, we have a pretty big aspect going on. It's a quick one, but it's rather large, because it's probably going to trigger something. And you may have felt it the day before leading up to the new moon, and that is Venus squaring Pluto. So Venus in Aries is squaring Pluto in Capricorn, and there is a slight T-square there with Jupiter and Libra, since they had an opposition last week. So what is this Venus squaring Pluto saying to us? Well, it's really calling us to get in line with the power struggles that we have in relationships, and how we open ourselves up, or we keep ourselves closed in. And a lot of times power struggles have to do with dependency issues and being codependent, and which then in turn turns into controlling each other in a sense, but we put ourselves in that place. So Venus in Aries, even though it's in detriment, it might be highlighting, you know, a little bit of independence at this time. Rather than opening up to another. Or maybe you're too independent and now it's time to, you know, slow it down a little bit and find yourself on the Jupiter and Libra side of things, where you're you kind of give of yourself more to another. But the real like juice in this aspect is a silver lining of sorts, and that is how we can heal ourselves in relationships and where we can become more vulnerable, allow ourselves to be vulnerable, so that we can really get in touch with, you know, lingering issues that might still be there. And it could be something, you know, chances are it might be something that happened back in the conjunction when Venus conjuncted Pluto in late November, or it could be some issues that have been held on to for quite some time now. And it's a perfect opportunity to just chisel away at that hurt and pain and to heal it and to let go in some area of life, so that you can, you know, sometimes you can't just willpower your way through it, as Venus and Aries might want to do. Sometimes you have to let go. And of course, you know, it being in cardinal signs, chances are the Aries, the Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn are probably going to feel it most, but we're all going to feel it in some way. So now if you want to find out more actually about this aspect and some of the other aspects that we have coming up for the rest of this week, I encourage you to check out my new podcast with Shauna McGrath. It's called The Feminine Principle, Astrology for Authentic Living. And you can find it on Podbean, and you can find it on my website as well. And we go into more depth about how you can, how you might experience this transit. And, you know, because there's a lot of intense desire behind this Venus square Pluto transit. So it could be asking us, you know, the new moon is calling up our ability to look at these issues in a new light. You know, this is kind of like a sprinkle that's on top of the cake, and the new moon is saying, hey, let's grab a new perspective around this. Let's look at this in a different light, you know, especially since the day after the new moon on Friday is probably going to be pretty moody, because there's a lot of contacts to several different planets. So the moon's going to be aspecting here, aspecting there, aspecting there, and we're kind of going to be a little all over the place in a sense, emotionally. Not in a bad way, but it'll be faster paced emotional energy. Whereas Saturday, because the first couple days of a new moon are most important when you're setting down intention and getting your action energy working. And so know that, you know, this new moon probably calling on you to just, you know, wrap your mind around a new perspective, and know that you're going to be feeling things out here, there, and here, there, and here, there. And probably Saturday we're going to get a little bit of a break, because we'll move into Cancer at that point, and there will be no exact aspects that day. So another aspect that we have on our table is Mars opposition Saturn, which will be happening Sunday, May 28th. And you're going to feel it during this new moon, because we're in orb enough to where you're going to feel that bubbling up. And that podcast I just mentioned, we also talk about that aspect as well, and we go really in depth at different things to expect there. But I'm just going to touch real quick that it's about, you know, it's really about our drive to succeed, and how we are able to master our own energy for whatever reason, and master our mind, since it's in the Gemini Sagittarius axis. So we're going to be building strength and like breaking down things that just aren't working, because certain limitations may come into play now that asks you to rethink and readjust what it is that you're working on. But it's all for the better, because we're tightening up the loose bolts so that we can fully go forward and put our stuff out there. But you know, there's still these hurdles that we have to get through. So just be aware that that energy is going to be in the air as well. Okay, so let's talk about the Sabian symbol that's associated with this new moon in Gemini. Well, the new moon is happening at 4 degrees Gemini and some change. So in Sabian symbols, we're going to round up, and that is going to give us 5 degrees Gemini. So what does Dane Rudyard say about 5-degree Gemini? He says, he paints this picture: the revolutionary magazine asking for action. Well, that's interesting in this day and age, isn't it? So the keynote here is the explosive tendency of repressed feelings and root emotions. What doesn't have Venus square Pluto written all over that? You know? This whole symbol is very reminiscent of the duality of Gemini, because it's kind of plays on that equal, every reaction has an equal opposite reaction. So say if there's every movement is stressed in one direction, at some point it's going to call forth an equally strong movement in the opposite direction, because that's how we live in a world of balance. Whether we are balanced ourselves or we see that, it's everything around us is always trying to balance itself. So that's why we see the extremes in the world, you know, like with the one extreme we have to have the other, and we have those extremes within ourselves too, and it's getting in touch with our own duality, where we feel, you know, you have the angel on one side and the devil on the other, and you know, you kind of meet in the middle. So a part of this symbol has to do with what's rigidly bound in form and convention tends to become explosive. So I think that's very interesting with Mars and Saturn as well, opposition there, because here Saturn has built all these structures and it's very firm and rigid, and here's Mars and Gemini scooting around going, this is too much for me. I like to have it here, there, and everywhere. And so there's an explosiveness and a breakdown in that area. So, you know, it's really all about the desire to move beyond certain forms, and we're always pushing ourselves to be revolutionary in some aspect of our lives and to counterbalance what it is that we're doing and how we're feeling inside, and always kind of work on that seesaw in a sense. So I find that a very interesting symbol for this new moon. Okay, everybody, so let's see what the tarot has to say about this new moon in Gemini. Okay, so the tarot brings to us the Wheel of Fortune and the Ten of Pentacles. So I find that very interesting for this Gemini cycle. So let's talk about the Wheel of Fortune, and that being our focus for this new moon. It could be a great card, but the thing with the wheel is that it's a wheel. You know, it goes up, it goes down, and there's a karmic aspect to the wheel. So depending on where we are right now, there can be, you know, something of change and unexpected nature is going to come about during this new moon. And whether that lies on the top of the wheel or the bottom of the wheel kind of has to do with your own karmic fate, in a sense, and how things are set up at this time. But just know that whether you're on the upside of the wheel or the downside of the wheel, it's really just bringing you closer to your own purpose. So there is a rhyme and a reason to where the wheel falls at this time. So just know that anything is possible right now, really, you know, and there's an electricity in the air of sorts. There's something special in the air that we can grab onto that will just take us closer to where it is we need to be. So this compared with the Ten of Pentacles as our grounding, I feel that this really kind of taps into that Mars opposition Saturn aspect, because the Ten of Pentacles is a very protective card. You've got strong support. You know, you're supported at home, you're supported in the community, you know, there's just a strong foundational earth energy there, and can be a very rewarding card. But if you look at traditional decks in the Rider-Waite, you're going to see a mother and a father walking away, and then the kid, and the kid's looking back. And what that symbolizes to me is that sometimes when we think that we have it all, there might be something missing. So I would say that in this particular card combination, in this new moon and this Mars opposition Saturn, that, you know, if we've done the work and built a solid foundation and we're working from a place that is like supported and just ready to go, you know, we're probably going to see success tenfold. something's gonna give and that wheel is gonna turn and you know, I won $1 million. Well, I don't know about that, but you might feel that way inside. Now, however, if you haven't done the work and you're looking back in a sense and something may be missing and that foundation isn't as strong as it probably should be, chances are you might be on the downside of the wheel because it's really not yet time to go forward. And it's just calling you it's calling you to understand what pieces are still left in this puzzle and what you need to put together so that you can turn that wheel right side up. So you could be on the side of extreme luck, and you could be on the side of, well, I gotta work harder at this. I gotta lay down a little more foundation before I'm gonna reap any reward. So I find that very interesting that this is our tarot forecast for the new moon in Gemini. Kind of exciting, isn't it? Okay, everybody, thank you so much for joining me in this YouTube video for the new moon in Gemini. I'm excited to see it's all gonna pan out. I mean, it seems like some exciting things are around the corner, and who doesn't like a shot at a new perspective? So if you want to find out more about me, you can find me at energeticprinciples.com. You can also find me on Instagram at Energetic Principles, where I do daily astro updates so you can see what's in the stars for any given day of the week. I have fun little pictures that I draw to give you some visual aesthetic in that realm. Also, I would love to plug my new podcast with Shauna McGrath of Neo-Feminine Astrology, which I was just talking about earlier in our aspect segment. I'm really excited to be doing this weekly podcast with her, and I think it's going to be just a great time, and I highly encourage you to check that out. You can find all those links down in the details section of this YouTube video. And last but not least, I do readings. So if you want to connect with me to get a personal reading, you can also find that at energeticprinciples.com. And I welcome any type of questions you might have. Once again, thank you for joining me to kick off this new moon in Gemini season. And I'm really looking forward to it. I hope you are too. So have a wonderful moon time. And as always, may the stars be with you.